This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, hello there, Steph Cutter, and welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And yes, as I said, the birthday boy has a significant thing with what happened on this day about the shot heard around the world, because this guy was actually born on the day the shot heard around the world happened. In St. Paul, Minnesota, Dave Winfield was born. Now, of course, Blue Jay fans will know about Dave Winfield because, he was the guy who helped us win the 92 World Series. But he was more known for being a San Diego Padre and New York Yankee, alongside being part of the California Angels, the Minnesota Twins, and the Cleveland Indians. So he spent 22 years in the majors. 12-time All-Star, 7-time Gold Glove winner, and 6-time Silver Slugger winner. The Padres retired his number 31 in his honor. Well, the Padres really don't have many superstar players. Back before a few years ago when Fernando Tatis Jr. snatched things. In fact, ESPN named him the third best all-around athlete of any time in any sport because he was very versatile. Yeah, he grew up in St. Paul, Minnesota, and his parents divorced, so he had to be raised by his mother and a large extended family of aunts, uncles, grandparents, and cousins. Winfield would have a baseball scholarship to the University of Minnesota and started baseball and basketball for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. He was on the Minnesota basketball team when they had that big fight with Ohio State in 1972 in a brawl. In fact, Winfield helped the Gophers win the Big Ten basketball championship, the first outright championship in 53 years. Wow. So anyway, Winfield was actually voted MVP of the College World Series as a pitcher for the Golden Gophers. Following college, he was drafted by 4 teams in 3 sports. The Padres selected him as a pitcher with the 4th overall pick in the MLB draft. And he was drafted by both basketball leagues at the time. The ABA was still around. Utah wanted him, and Atlanta wanted him in the NBA. And though he never played college football, the Vikings decided to give him a pick in the 17th round of the NFL draft. He was, in fact, one of 6 players ever to be drafted by 3 professional sports. The other guys were George Carter, JoJo White, Noel Janke, Mickey McCarty, and Dave Logan. JoJo White's easily the biggest name of those guys. Winfield chose baseball, and the Padres chose him as a pitcher with the 4th pick of the 73 MLB draft. If we look at the 73 MLB draft, it was a decent draft. I mean, Texas wasted their number 1 pick on David Clyde because he was a hometown boy. And David said that he would pitch in the major leagues for a few games without having to go down to the minors. And Texas were desperate. He didn't do so well. John Stearns was drafted 2nd by the Phillies as a catcher. Milwaukee took Robin Yount 3rd overall. So that wasn't bad. Okay. Cool. So Winfield had a powerful bat. So the Padres said, well, I would just play in the outfield, play in right field. You could easily get in the lineup. Could use his rifle arm. And he didn't do that badly in this first season. But he would develop into an all-star for San Diego, helping the Padres get some kind of recognition. And all that. He batted .308 with 34 home runs and 118 RBIs. But he would become a free agent. The Yankees, George Steinbrenner, promised the moon for Winfield. He signed him to a 10-year, $23 million contract. That's $23 million combined, so that's $2.3 million a year. Remember, 1981, salaries were a whole lot different 4 decades ago. Steinbrenner actually thought he was signing Winfield for $16 million, unaware of the meaning of a cost of living clause in a contract, which led to a public feud. Although that was not the end of that. Winfield was good. Unfortunately, though, he had a terrible World Series. He only got 1 hit in the 6-game World Series for Yankees Dodgers in 1981. Winfield was really criticized. He was called Mr. May instead of Mr. October because he was good in the regular season, but in the postseason he was just shit. Yeah, there was a lot of inconsistency and all that. However, Winfield did not let Steinbrenner's antics get to him. However, in 1983, he got into a little bit of legal trouble. When they were playing the Jays at Exhibition Stadium, the stadium before the Sky Dome, Winfield actually killed a seagull by throwing a ball at it before the fifth inning. The fans were not happy, and there was a bit of a controversy because that was some kind of Animal Protection Act in Canada, cruelty to animals. He was released after posting a $500 bond. And Billy Martin was upset, saying that that's the first time he's hit the kind of man all season. Charges were, of course, dropped. Winfield actually did return in the offseason to Toronto, donated paintings for an auction which raised $60,000. Unfortunately, the fans would flap their arms like a seagull to mock Winfield, but that ended in '92 when Winfield was signed by the Jays. He was an effective run producer from '81 to '84. Manley beat Winfield for the '84 batting title. Everything is stride. Unfortunately, Steinbrenner called Winfield Mr. May and all that. In fact, Winfield always had that Mr. May label on him until 1992. Steinbrenner was not too happy with Winfield's problems. Steinbrenner wanted to trade him, but Winfield's status as a 10-5 player, meaning 10 years in the majors and 5 years with a single team, could veto any trade. And he did pretty well. Unfortunately, he would miss the 1989 season due to a back injury. But when he came back to 1990, there were a lot of problems and all that. There were rumors that he was going to be traded to California for Mike Witt. Winfield refused to be traded. However, when Gene Autry said that he wanted to give an extension to Winfield, so Winfield said fine. Winfield would proceed to hit home runs for the Angels for the remainder of the 90 season. Unfortunately, Steinbrenner had issues. He tried to curry favor by stating to Winfield that he would welcome Winfield openly if he won the arbitration case. Unfortunately, Steinbrenner had his own problems because he was in trouble by Commissioner Faye Finson for the fact that he paid Harry Spira $40,000 to try to dig up information on Winfield, to try to get out of his stupid contract. Steinbrenner was given a lifetime ban, but it was actually only for 2 years. But it made him better. Winfield won the Comeback Player of the Year award by the Sporting Goods in 1990. He would do okay. And everyone thought that after 40 he would be gone. He was not productive. However, he signed a free agency deal with the Blue Jays to be their DH. And it worked. 290 batting average, 26 home runs, 108 RBIs. Like, honestly, how many 40-year-olds can have a 100 RBI game a season? Winfield was the DH that the Blue Jays needed. It was a lightning rod. In fact, in August '92, he made a plea to the fans during an interview for more crowd noise because the fans were kind of reserved and all that. A little too polite. But that's what Canada's known for, politeness. Anyway, the phrase Winfield wants noise became a popular slogan for the rest of the season. And the fans got on board. Winfield was okay. However, every Blue Jay fan remembers his Game 6 contribution. Score tie, 2-2 in the 11th inning. 2 men on base, and Winfield came up to the plate. Before he did his big hit, Sean McDonough and Tim McCarver reminded the American public, and inadvertently the Canadian public, because CTV simulcast the CBS broadcast, that, Winfield has only had one World Series hit. Well, guess what? Sucks to be you. He had a 2-run double down the left field line that Ron Gant misjudged, getting both runners across the plate to make it 4-2. Despite the fact the Braves scored a 3rd run in the bottom of the 11th, they still did not win the game as the Blue Jays won the World Series title. And word to the wise, that is not going to be on this day. I wish I could, but, I just don't want to do a certain team on back-to-back days. Hope you understand. Anyway, he did it. He became the third oldest player to get an extra base hit in the World Series at 41 years old, behind Pete Rose and Eno Slaughter. And well, Winfield was granted free agency, so he spent 1 year with the Jays, and then would sign for his hometown Minnesota Twins. The Blue Jays solved their DH issues with Paul Molitor, thankfully enough. So Winfield in 1993 got his 3,000th hit off of Dennis Eckersley. And during the 94 baseball strike, Winfield was actually traded to Cleveland at the trade waiver deadline on August 31st, because it used to be in August you could trade someone, but they would have to be on waivers first for a player to be named later. The trade waiver deadline is basically how the Jays got David Cohn from the Mets for Jeff Kent in 92. However, the problem was that Winfield could not play for the Indians that year, and no player was named in exchange. To settle the trade, Cleveland and Minnesota executives went to dinner with the Indians picking up the tab. It basically, Winfield is the only player in Major League history to be traded for a dinner. Though official sources say that Winfield was sold by the Twins to the Indians. He would not play that many games for the Indians. He was the oldest MLB player on the squad in 95. He would only play 46 games in that 191. Basically, he retired and was elected to the Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility in 2001. Now, baseball, you have to be retired for 5 years before you're eligible for the Hall of Fame. Hockey's 3. So he was the first Padre to be inducted into Cooperstown. Steinbrenner was irked by this. Nonetheless, Winfield got a note sounded a note towards Steinbrenner saying he said he regrets a lot of things that happened. We're fine now. Things have changed. So yeah, not bad. So his number was retired in 2001. So yeah, amazing. He was actually named the number 15 Big Ten Conference icon in 2010. Winfield joined Fox to be a studio analyst for the first year of baseball coverage. But Winfield was more known for being executive vice president / senior advisor of the Padres from 01 to 13. So, yeah, it's amazing. Anyway, that was huge and all that. Winfield resides in California with his wife and 3 children. Dave Winfield was part of that Married with Children episode about the baseball strike. He has a foundation for philanthropy, all that. Right, that's amazing. So yeah, Dave Winfield was great for Blue Jay fans. Believe it. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.